Welcome to this week's episode of Stories Untold. Let us meet Tshepo Mosiedi, who refused to be defined by his family background. Since childhood, he's always found good ways to make money. Now that he's obtained his degree, his achievements and successes speak for themselves.
Welcome to TMMBS Accountants.
Tshepo Mosiedi and Tebogo Selebi have known each other for the better part of their lives, from watching television together at Tebogo's grandmother's house during weekends and school vacations to now running an accounting and professional skills consulting firm, a wish Tebogo Selebi's late aunt had always had for them, that they work as partners, saw the light of day. At the time, hers was dimmed. These two giants in the financial sector let us in on their journey, and they begin by telling us who they are.
So Tebogo is a father, Tebogo is a son, Tebogo is a brother. Tebogo is a hard worker, he's a disciplined young man. He's someone that I really truly believe in. Tebogo inspires me. In essence, that's who I can say Tebogo is.
Tshepo Mosiedi is a young man from the township of Kagiso. Besides his accolades, he's an advocate for the emancipation of African people, the emancipation of African entrepreneurs, and he's just a visionary and a lover of life.
Tshepo has always been someone who was always around because I used to grow up at my grand's house. So on weekends, I'd be in Kagiso at my grand's house. On holidays, I'd be in Kagiso at my grand's house. So what then happened is that obviously because Kagiso was it's a very close-knit community. We do things together. So I have an older brother, and also my other cousins also, a similar age to Tshepo. So they were very close. So I think even from early on, he was always like a brother to me. I think that's kind of where I think our relationship, myself and Tshepo, started.
Part of my life, I lived at Tebogo's grandmother's house, which is just 4 houses from my house. So they had a television, and at home we didn't have, So I would spend most of my time there. If there's any activities, maybe play sports, we'd play sports together, especially with his brother because he was still young.
Besides the fact that they were always in each other's space, these two have always been high achievers in their respective lives.
To be quite honest, I wasn't paying much attention to probably the things that I was, achieving along the years. I looked at, some of the, certificates and stuff from, very early on and many years ago. And I actually realized, I think that brought things into perspective, how much of a winner, I guess, I always have been.
Funny enough, even in the, not so great things that we do, I'd always want to excel, come up front. And also in the good things that I've managed to do, especially as a teen at school. I always want to be the top student. When I used to do business, small businesses, I'd always want to have the best business. Whether it's selling sweets, whether it's opening a small market in the corner. Even with my dustbin cleaning at the age of 16, I always wanted to be the best in everything that I do.
Tebogo's parents take us down memory lane to back when he was a child.
Tebogo ke ngwana o na le very, very active. O na tlhopa haholo. Le ko sekolong, di-teacher ne di rata go complaina gore mo classeng o tla ba disrupta bana ba. But a go te exams ke ene number 1. So ke ngwana o na rata dilo, o na rata gore le ga go te ko sekolong go itliwa show or eng. Ebe na batla go nna a leader. A batla go nna a leadang that show. A go te go participate mo sportong. Lene o tla ba a le teng fo.
He actually traveled in the path which we are grooming him for. It's a person who is strong-willed, however humble at the same time. I'm glad he got focus, especially when he got to Monument High after receiving an athletics scholarship, which then actually gave him an entry there. Then he started focusing a lot along the lines of business.
Tshepo's humbleness and kindness is what stands out when his mother remembers how he was as a young boy.
Tshepo ke ngwana o mosa, ke ngwana lerato. O gotse a ntse a rata batho go tloga a tsalwa. Jwale ke a mo godisa ka tlaseng go lerato la ntate Modimo. Ka nna ke ntse ke tsamaya le ene kereke ka metlha. E ne le ngwana o participatang ko kerekeng ga mmogo le mo di-Sunday school. Mara a ntse a na le lerato. O mmona gore go na le sengwe seo a batlang go ba sone mo bophelong ba gagwe.
According to Tebogo Selebi, his late aunt Mapula always wished for him and Tshepo to work together.
May of 2017, my aunt passed away.
It was a shock to me because I spoke to her like a day before she passed.
Every time I'd visit her, she'd always just make reference to how she wants me to work with Tshepo, she wants me to connect with Tshepo.
So we met at the funeral, the night vigil, and we were speaking, so we were sharing, this is what I'm doing, the other guys, this is what they're doing, and so forth.
During the funeral preparations, the boys and the men would be, outside in the back, taking care of the fire, making sure that the 3-foot pots, everything is cooking there.
And people, they eavesdrop, and he was interested, to know more about what I do.
We shared contacts, but we never messaged each other, we never called each other.
We bumped into each other at UJ, at Auckland Park. And he told me about he's studying accounting, and already I had graduated.
And then from there, he told me then what he was doing, which was at the time Mosiedi Trading, which later became TMMBS Accountants. So from there, I think that's when our journey started.
So he came to my apartment and actually asked me to start mentoring him,
There was the brotherhood part, and then there was the mentorship part where I was asking him about business. And then at some point, there was the business partnership side. So yeah, I'd say around May of 2017, that's when kind of everything started with myself and Tshepo.
Tebogo's parents were over the moon when he informed them that he'll be partnering with Tshepo.
Those ones, they were heartening because coincidentally it happened that Tshepo is also a son, a lady that I grew with, and also our families were close, and it made me happy that at least he's joining someone whom I know that in terms of his upbringing, it's almost similar to him.
With Tshepo's love for entrepreneurship and Tebogo's leadership qualities, it was evident from yesteryears that together these two would reach greater heights. Tshepo never allowed the conditions at home to limit him. Instead, he came up with a business concept that did not only benefit him, but also lifted some financial weight off his mother's shoulders.
I actually needed money, to be honest. As you know, growing up as a teenager, there's certain things that you want. However, for people like us, we come from families where we know parents cannot afford, So it's a choice that you need to make to say, okay, do I go do crime, or do I actually do something that's proactive and that's legal and legitimate? So I then started dustbin cleaning, and to my surprise, the business really went well. I was washing about 25 dustbins for my neighbors, and I was charging them 10 rand per dustbin. I was making 250 rand a day. And I knew people who were working at factories and supermarkets who were making that money in a week. And I was making it in a day. And I was only making it after school. So I'd only wash dustbins after school. So from around 1 p.m., 2 p.m. until 8 p.m., I'd wash the dustbin. So I could take the money, go and lay by, clothes and things that I need.
Ke ne ke thabile thata ka gore o ne a thusa nna because ke ne ke bereka ke le nosi mo gae, so ga etsa dilo tseo ga ngata o ne a thusa nna. O ne a kgona go ithekela diaparo, o ne a kgona go ithekela sengwe le sengwe sa se tlhokang ko ntleng ga go kopa. Tshepo ke ngwana o mongwe ga tlwaela go kopa tšhelete, wa iketsetsa ga e batla.
From getting his BCom accounting degree to mentoring Tebogo and ultimately the two of them venturing into TMMBS, this is what those milestones mean to them and those dearest to them.
The vision was always big for us. We wanted to go big. Even now, we're still trying to build one of the biggest firms that we can build out of South Africa. So I think our first moment was, of course, getting the Kagiso office. It was once again a small win. So at least we knew we had a home. And then obviously getting the team. And then I remember, I think it was August, if not September of 2017. We then also were awarded, well, we became finalists of the SAGE Small Business Awards at 702. So that also was a very pivotal moment for us because that means it exposed us and gave us, a lot more reach and we got more clients. So we then opened our second office in Krugersdorp. We had a campaign of handing out flyers in Sandton because that's where we wanted to be, right? So we did a campaign in 2017 as well, I think October, handing out flyers because we saw ourselves in that space. We wanted to really be, in the heart of the richest square mile of Africa. I remember that we even took a photo, in 2017 at some point of us looking at a building saying we're gonna be here one day. Fast forward, I think 4 to 5 months later, we had reached our goal and our target. We opened an office in Sandton in 2018. That also was a big milestone for us.
Welcome to TMMBS Accountants. TMMBS Accountants is a world-class African-owned accounting firm which leads a Pan-African vision.
I think that kind of put our business on another level. But then what we realized that there was then a bit of a detachment between the people that we were actually targeting. So we had another campaign where we did hand out flyers, but this time where our campaign basically was saying that we are keeping up with the best in business, and what we're trying to address there is that we are not too small for big business, but also we're not too big for small business.
For me, where I come from, how I grew up to where I am now and where I'm going, it's not by my knowledge or wisdom or by my power. All of those things, I credit them to God, and I thank Him, and I feel very blessed.
We were so happy in such a way that we encourage, even put them on praise that we wish that God should so that they should achieve more on their journey of business.
Usually when young men come into partnership, you expect them to start crawling and walking before they can run. But I've seen that with them, they were in leaps and bounds, because as much as they were receiving awards, but they were also being interviewed in various media, and also they were giving talks, they were writing ebooks. So as a parent, I actually was over the moon.
First of all, I'm very proud of them, and for me it means if you really want to achieve something in life, you can. Doesn't matter your background, it doesn't matter the obstacles. Yes, they're going to be there, but if you really want to go for it, you can achieve it.
Their achievements wouldn't have happened without the excellent service they give to their clients.
Tebogo, different from other accountants out there, is that they are very attentive and they don't shy away from paying attention to detail, and they take the time to understand the dynamics of the industry that we work in. And that optimistic state of mind of theirs has, I would say, helped them a lot.
They are a company of excellence. So everything they do, they make sure that they go according to the book, but even beyond. Because as a startup, you can't need someone who's gonna hold your hand. So with them, I've noticed it's not only about money. It's not about them making money, but it's about developing our businesses. So my business developed so well with their advice. These guys, I wonder if it's because they understand that as the business grows, you'll employ more people, they'll make more pay slips, there'll be more, balance sheet, obviously. So wherever I go, I take them with, they allocate someone, or maybe Tebogo will come, and he's always there to assist me whenever I need assistance. So for me, that is outstanding, especially for a black company.
To Tebogo Selebi and Tshepo Mosiedi, TMMBS is intended to be a lasting legacy.
We are trying to build this business or this company for 4 generations to come. And that's not even a joke, that's serious. I think that's the intention. And I think all of us understand that we're trying to build something that will outlive us. And my wish is just, that ability to proceed and continue to build, this business, because it's not just for us, but it's for the betterment of the entire country, if you'd say.
TMMBS, we started as an accounting firm, which grew to being a business and management consulting firm. And right now, the focus is more on building a conglomerate, around the professional services space as well as financial services space. We see ourselves now opening companies that can, compete globally. We want to change the narrative of like how African businesses are perceived. So we want to build something that can now be in every continent and compete on a, larger scale.
TMMBS is where it is because of Tshepo and Tebogo's hard work.
Him and I are more of like bad cop, good cop. So even with the team, they always make reference to say he's more lenient, he's more patient. Whereas I'm on the other side of that, I'm more results driven, I'm more, targets and deadlines. I'm a bit more harsher, with, the kind of level at which I request the work and, so I'd say obviously from a working side of things, it's very professional. One of the hardest working people I know. I used to think I was hardest working, but when I met Tshepo, I realized that I met someone that I could relate with, on a higher level.
In all they have achieved, sacrifices had to be made for them to reach world-class standards. Tshepo Mosiedi is fortunate to have a supportive wife.
First of all, I'm also in the same profession as him, so I understand what it takes to go out there and do what you need to do in order to succeed in our profession. And again, another thing is that I'm from a background of parents that are also entrepreneurs, so it's what I know, right? So when I met Tshepo in the beginning, I knew that he wanted to go into entrepreneurship. I knew this is what he wanted to do. So from the get-go, I knew that this was going to be coming, this was going to be our lives. And yeah, so it doesn't affect our relationship because we do make time for each other during the week sometimes, and during the weekend we switch off our phones and we spend time together. So I think it's just understanding what a person wants and just being there for them.
I was fortunate that I met my wife when I was in university. And this is when I was still studying out there, the hustle. And, by the time I met her, I was juggling work, studying, and running a business. Of course, at that time, it was not a big business, it was small. So she got used to the culture and she adapted to it, which was an advantage. And we've been together for now 11 years. I used to work 7 days a week, but now I cut to 6 days a week so that I can have a day, with her. But I also try and compromise, where I can, the dinner dates and so forth and so forth.
From spending a few days with Tshepo and Tebogo, Stories Untold can attest that these two hold each other dearly.
Tshepo, obviously, I'll say what I've always said to him, that I'm proud of him, I'm inspired by him, and I'm motivated by him, and I'm grateful for him. I believe that our partnership was ordained by God, long before we even knew.
I thank him a lot for, sacrificing his life for this crazy vision, because when he joined the firm, it was just, there was nothing, to be honest. We didn't have a boardroom, we didn't have an office like we have now. We'd have meetings actually in the basement of my apartment in the car. That's where we'd have meetings. But we would regularly have those meetings every Sunday and plan and all of that, and he went to a point where he even had to leave athletics, which a lot of people don't know. He was doing well in athletics. He left athletics just to focus on the business full time. Without him, TMMBS wouldn't be where it is. You know, it's a collective effort.
If they were to thank themselves, this would be their words.
I've always worked hard, you know, irrespective of whatever position I was in life, irrespective of where I grew up or what I had. I think everything I have in my life, I've always had to earn. So I think that would be the first message, that I'm proud of myself. And then the second one would also be, don't be too hard on yourself. You're doing very well. And then I think lastly would also be, once again, yes, celebrate, yes, have fun, but the work is not done.
I used to tell people I'm gonna build something that will compete with the big firms. You know, I was just operating on faith, to be honest. I didn't have money. Even though what we've built, we didn't get any funding. We didn't get any big loans to start. Like, we just started with just faith, you know. And I want to thank myself for being disciplined, you know. That's something that makes a lot of entrepreneurs, especially those who start young, to go under very fast, you know, where you're consumed by fame, you are consumed by substance. For me, through the grace of God, I managed to stay disciplined.
To be appreciated and valued is a great honor, and these are words of gratitude from those that hold them in high regard.
Thank you to them as young black men for trusting their guts and also being a reliable service provider that is able to take a call at 1 a.m. From a consultant perspective, it is a case-by-case type of a relationship that you build with your service provider. And in their case, they've been quite flexible. And I think that approach, that business approach, is going to take them a long way.
I really, really want to thank God for them, for being there for me. We are growing. We have grown so much from the time we met. I've been changing businesses, or let me say expanding in different industries, and they've been there for me, and they've pulled out all their resources. And when I look into their invoice, actually, they contributed more than what they're pricing. But I believe that whenever you give, there is a way that you're going to get a return.
I know that there's a foundation that he's just started recently, and what he wants to do is to build other entrepreneurs and make an impact. So I know that brings him joy. And as for Tebogo as well, I know he wants to be the best in all that he does, and I believe that's possible. So I just wish that they achieve their goals.
Ke ba lakaletsa gore Ntate Modimo a ba fitlhise mo ba batlang teng. Ba ske ba lebala ko ba tswang teng. Ba gopole gore ke ka mogau wa Modimo, ba thusitswe ke mogau wa Modimo, le bone ba thuse ba bangwe fela ya ka Ntate Modimo a ba thusitse.
Qabo setlogolo sa bakwena mmogo le bona Matebele ke go lakaletsa masego mo tseleng yo e kgetileng ya tshiamo. Re galetsa mo go yone Ntate o ska nna le makoko, mme o gopole gore go riana tsele o e yalang ke tsele e matsopodi, mme jaaka ga ile jalo e go dire boikobo go direla gore e re ga o tsewe gata yana e bulele tsela bao ba batlang ko morago ba itse gore le bone ba tsamaye ka bonolo mo go yone. Tswellang jalo ba kgatla.
The reality is we are not defined by our upbringing, but by the choices we make. Let us learn from Tshepo and Tebogo, who conquered the financial sector. Let us meet next week, same place, same time, for yet another episode of Stories Untold. Ta-ta!